November 3rd, 2020. Shanghai. The largest IPO in human history is 48 hours from listing. $34.5 billion. A $313 billion valuation. Bigger than Goldman Sachs and Wells Fargo combined, over $3 trillion in retail investor orders have already been placed. Then the Shanghai Stock Exchange issues a statement. One sentence. Major issues. Listing suspended. Hong Kong follows within the hour. The man who built it loses $10 billion in a single day. His name disappears from Chinese state media. His company's stock begins a collapse that will not stop for 2 years. And for the next 87 days, nobody knows where Jack Ma is. That story starts 10 days earlier in a hotel ballroom in Shanghai, and it starts with the man sitting in the front row when Ma walked up to the podium. On October 24, 2020, the Bund Finance Summit, Shanghai. This is not a press conference. The Bund Summit is where China's financial establishment gathers every year. The PBOC governor, the CBIRC chairman, the heads of the securities and foreign exchange regulators, former central bank governor Zhou Xiaochuan, and Wang Qishan, Xi Jinping's closest political ally, former anti-corruption czar, now vice president, and the most powerful financial official in China. He is sitting in the front row. Jack Ma walks to the podium and calls China's banks pawnshops. The Basel Accords are the international banking framework China's regulators spent years working to comply with. Ma calls them a seniors club for aging financial systems. China's financial sector, he says, basically doesn't have a system. Financial regulators use yesterday's methods to manage the future. He is not speaking to a general audience. He is saying all of this directly to the people who built and run the system on television. Then he mentions the IPO. The night before, Ant Group had priced the largest fundraise in human history. Ma says so from the podium. In front of the regulators he is criticizing. He is publicly triumphant at the exact moment the authorities are already scrutinizing him. Ma wasn't just criticizing policy. He was arguing that private innovation had built a better financial system than the states, and that officials who didn't understand it should move aside. For Beijing, that is not a technical argument. It is a political one. 10 days later, the regulators answered. Ant Group didn't start as a financial empire. It started as a workaround for a trust problem. In 2004, Alibaba launched Alipay as an escrow tool for its e-commerce platform, Taobao. Chinese consumers wouldn't send money to strangers online, so Alipay held the funds until delivery was confirmed. It solved one problem and then never stopped expanding. By 2020, Ant had built something much larger than a payment app. Yuebao was a money market fund accessible through Alipay with a minimum investment of 1 yuan. By 2019, it was the world's largest money market fund with 588 million users. Huabei was a buy now pay later product embedded in Alipay. It functioned like a credit card that 700 million people never had to apply for. Jibei offered microloans to consumers and small businesses. Sesame Credit was Ant's proprietary scoring system, drawing on e-commerce history, spending patterns and bill payments, a credit bureau operating entirely outside state control. Then there was the structure underneath all of it. Huabei and Jibei together had originated over $2 trillion in outstanding consumer loans. Ant funded 2% of those loans with its own capital. It offloaded 98% of the credit risk onto state banks, and it collected fees on the entire $2 trillion. State banks absorbed the downside. Ant took the profit. Ant had built a parallel financial system outside the party's regulatory architecture, 1.3 billion users. More consumer credit data than any bank in China, its own credit scoring system, and separate data that flowed to no state bureau. The IPO would have delivered $34 billion in cash and a global investor base. The bigger Ant got, the harder it would be to discipline. Regulators were already planning their move. The speech gave them the pretext to accelerate. November 2nd, 2020, 4 agencies issue a joint summons: the PBOC, the CBIRC, and China's Securities and Foreign Exchange regulators. All 4. Together, they summon Jack Ma to Beijing. Ant's executive chairman Eric Jing and CEO Simon Hu are called in too. What was said in that room has never been made public. The same day, regulators publish new draft rules for online microfinance businesses. The key rule: lenders must fund at least 30% of any joint loan themselves. Ant had been funding 2%. November 3rd, 2020, the Shanghai Stock Exchange issues a statement. It is 93 words long. The phrase that matters: major issues that may fail to meet information disclosure requirements. The listing is suspended. Hong Kong follows within the hour. November 5th is the scheduled listing date. Nothing happens. Over $3 trillion in retail investor orders. Gone. A $313 billion valuation. Gone. Alibaba stock falls 7% that day. The collapse has begun. The draft rules and the IPO suspension were published on the same day. This was not coincidence. Under the new rules, the business model that produced Ant's valuation would be illegal. Ant would have to fund 30% of every loan from its own balance sheet. The same requirement that applied to the state banks it had publicly outcompeted. The suspension wasn't regulatory cleanup. It was a precisely timed instrument, deployed the moment the speech gave political cover to act. Then, the man himself disappeared. In November 2020, Jack Ma was scheduled to appear on the finale of Africa's Business Heroes. He had sponsored the show and appeared throughout the season. An Alibaba executive named Lucy Peng replaced him, with Alibaba citing a schedule conflict. His image was edited from promotional materials. For years, Chinese state media had celebrated Ma as proof of what China could build. Now it went silent. No statement, no location, nothing. By January 2021, international financial press was actively reporting on his disappearance, with speculation ranging from informal house arrest to something worse. Then, on January 20th, 2021, a 3-minute video appeared. Ma was on screen speaking via pre-recorded message to rural school teachers in Hainan province. He looked healthy. Pandemic restrictions, he said, prevented him from attending in person. His commitment to education remains strong. He said nothing about Ant Group, not a word about Alibaba, nothing about regulators. The video was clearly staged. That was 87 days after his last confirmed public appearance. Now, consider Ren Zhiqiang, a real estate tycoon and longtime CCP member. He had 37 million followers on Weibo before his account was deleted. In February 2020, Ren privately circulated an essay criticizing Xi Jinping's COVID-19 response, calling Xi a clown with no clothes. He disappeared in March 2020. A court sentenced him that September to 18 years in prison. The contrast tells you everything about how the party calibrates punishment. Ren attacked Xi personally. Ma attacked institutions. Ma even quoted Xi's own words in the speech to legitimize his argument. The CCP knew what jailing Jack Ma would signal to every foreign investor in China, so it chose a different instrument: financial destruction, exile, silence, and a carefully staged video to prove he was still alive. The punishment, though, was just beginning. April 10th, 2021. The State Administration for Market Regulation fines Alibaba 18.228 billion Chinese yuan, that is $2.8 billion, the largest antitrust fine in Chinese history. The charge: forcing merchants to sign exclusive deals that banned them from selling on rival platforms. Meanwhile, Ant is being dismantled piece by piece. Regulators require it to restructure as a financial holding company. Huabei and Jiebei are moved from loosely regulated provincial entities into national bank supervision. The 30% capital requirement kicks in. Ant's Sesame credit data must now flow to the state's bureau. The proprietary data moat it spent a decade building, gone. Jack Ma's voting control of Ant is restructured. The business model that produced a $313 billion valuation is systematically taken apart. July 2023. Ant pays a final fine of $984 million. Regulators declare the overhaul complete. Ma's net worth stood at $61.7 billion at peak and $22.8 billion at trough. More than half gone. Alibaba's market cap fell 75% from its October 2020 peak by late 2022. The combined destruction across Alibaba and Ant, approximately $877 billion. And it did not stop there. Didi launched a $4.4 billion IPO on the New York Stock Exchange on June 30th, 2021. Regulators launched a cybersecurity review the next day. The app was pulled from Chinese app stores 4 days later. Didi was fined $1.2 billion and forced to delist. Meituan was fined $533 million. Tencent's gaming division was frozen for months. In 18 months, Chinese tech lost approximately $2 trillion in market value. Then came something quieter. State investment funds began buying 1% stakes in major Chinese internet platforms. Small in economic terms, significant in governance terms. These stakes came with board seats and content control. ByteDance received one in April 2021. The appointee was Wu Shugang, a government official with unilateral authority over what ran on Douyin and Toutiao. The party didn't just punish the machine, it installed itself inside it. 4 years later, the phone rang. February 17th, 2025, Beijing. Xi Jinping hosts a private symposium with China's top entrepreneurs, the first gathering of its kind since 2018. Jack Ma is in the room, so is Pony Ma of Tencent, Wang Quanfu of BYD, the founder of DeepSeek, and Lei Jun of Xiaomi. She addresses the room. It is the right time for private enterprises and entrepreneurs to showcase their talents and make significant contributions. The message is clear. The crackdown has an end. Come back. By March 2025, Ma is back at Alibaba's campuses daily, no official title, but driving AI strategy, with the company authorizing a 7 billion yuan AI subsidy package under his direction. Internally, employees had been using a hashtag for years, MAGA, Make Alibaba Great Again. Alibaba stock rises nearly 60% year-to-date, over $100 billion added to market cap. Beijing didn't rehabilitate Ma because he earned it. The US-China AI competition required every major private actor aligned and operational. Bringing Ma back also sent a message to the private sector. The crackdown had a defined end, and useful people get to return. The question is what returning actually means. Jack Ma gave one speech. It cost him $38 billion and 87 days that he has never publicly described. His net worth today stands at approximately $26 billion. He attends symposiums, drives AI strategy, and is photographed on campuses again. But the Ant Group IPO never happened. That $313 billion valuation was never realized. The 2%/98% loan model is gone. The state's credit bureau now holds his data. A government official controls what runs on Douyin. The party didn't destroy Jack Ma, it restructured him. The same way it restructured Ant Group. Private wealth in China is not forbidden. It is permitted, calibrated, and revoked or restored on the party's schedule. Jack Ma is one of the richest people on earth. He is also proof of something. The vault opens when Beijing decides it does. If you like this video, then watch how the company that built the most powerful attention machine on Earth navigated this same relationship with Beijing while simultaneously surviving 5 American attempts to shut it down. And if you want to support us, then please subscribe to the channel. It supports us a ton. See you in the next video.